What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Damian Turner podcast. And I'm your host, Damian Turner. Man, today, you know what I'm saying? We going to keep on talking about feelings and emotions, man. And we going to add one more thing to that ego. And situations that's going on in the world right now that has a lot to do with feelings and emotions is the Tank Davis situation. And Tank Davis put out his own PR or his own, saying that somebody he said that his girl got mad because he wouldn't his baby mama got mad because he wouldn't give her the truck, so she called the police. And if you'd have heard the 911 call, she was saying he gonna kill me and all this and that and the other. And then again, it's just getting out of hand, man. And if you know Tank Davis's backstory and where he come from, then you know it's a lot of trauma in that man. And what I mean by that is that he probably have a lot of mental health issues going on with him. And and one thing I don't condone. One thing I got to tell y'all is this, right? I don't condone beating on women. I don't condone that, not at all. But I also don't condone women weaponizing the way you feel about them. I don't condone women weaponizing um trying to trigger you. If y'all understand what I'm saying. Like one thing about that we have to understand is that when you love a woman, when you love a woman, it's something about that one woman that she could say things to get up under your skin. She could do things to make you lose your mind. If y'all know what I'm talking about. And I'm gonna give y'all an example on how they talk about this in a legal way. They got something called a crime of passion, y'all. Whereas a crime of passion is where if you marry and you catch your woman or the woman catch the man blatantly in a cheating situation, whereas you come in the house, you coming from work, woman or man, and your significant other is having sex in the room with somebody else. And you in that moment when you hear the sounds, in that moment when you see what's going on, and if you just so happen to have a knife in your hand, or say you a cop and you carry your gun, or you somebody that's licensed to carry your gun, so you got a gun on you. And soon as you see that, in that moment, what a crime of passion is that you lose your mind in that woman and you shoot both of them. You shoot and kill both of them when you in that moment. In that moment, and when you go into trial, they're gonna arrest you, and you gonna go to trial, and what your lawyer gonna tell you to do is plea insanity, because they saying in that moment you was insane. In that moment you blacked out, and you didn't really in that moment you blacked out, and you didn't have, and basically they saying the crime of passions is that you're basically not sanely responsible for what happened, because you blacked out, or you reacted off pure angry. And when you catch the person you love, like your wife, in that type of situation, then they saying you lose your mind. And a person that get in a time for somebody that does that, it doesn't be like you committed first degree double murder. They what you call, they compromise with you, and they show compassion for you seeing that, and the courts be lenient on you with your sentence and your charges because it was a crime of passion. That's what that is. But my thing is that you don't have to be married in order for you to commit a crime of passion. If you in love with a woman, I don't know how many men going to attest to this. If you in love with a woman, then that woman has a lot of control over your mental health. Let's just keep it real. When a woman is in love with a man, that man has a lot of control over that woman's mental health. So this is why I'm talking about feelings and emotions all the time. Because when feelings and emotions is involved, nobody can think clearly. When feelings and emotions is involved, then that's a mental health problem. Whenever you make decisions out your feelings and emotions, then 9 times out of 10, like I said before, it's gonna be the wrong. It ain't gonna be what's right. It's gonna be how you feel in that moment. You understand what I'm saying? So the reason why this Tank Davis situation lives up to them feelings and emotions moment is because on both sides, I wasn't there. I don't know what happened. But by listening to what Tank was saying and when he came out trying to clear his name, Tank said that they trying to pay his baby mama $50K to press charges on him. Then he said that, he got to pay $300K to a woman that he don't know or ever seen in his life. He never touched her or nothing. Now we know as black men in America, when we hear Tank say these things, we sympathize with Tank because we understand what we up against. Is no disrespect to the black woman or the woman that's claiming that Tank abused her. Because we understand what we up against in this country, the same thing we've been up against for the last 460 something years. And weaponizing, and I just want to talk about women weaponizing the way a man feels about you. And a lot of people don't understand, like for instance, man, like I'm gonna talk about a lot of things. I'm gonna be all over the place in this. Just bear with me, because a lot of people don't understand. Like women want to be like you see all these women that come out and they want to be equal to men, right? The thing about it is I feel like if a woman doing the same job as a man, then she should get paid the same money as that man. I feel like any type of situation is that. But it's also situations where women and men is different, man. And the way women and men, when you look at the biology of women and men, they both is different. Like we gotta be honest about this, man. Women and men is different. That don't mean they unequal. They mean they different. Like a woman, right? A woman has majority estrogen in her hormones. I think that's part of what makes her a woman. A man has majority testosterone in his hormones, right? Both of these chemicals or hormones that we talking about here have different effects when certain things happen, right? Like, let's just keep it real. If you notice, like with a woman, right? It seems as though that a woman can take more emotional, what's the word I'm looking for? Hurt than the man. Because it seems as though like a woman could like we've been knowing this, and I'm not saying it, but I'm just saying this from experience of my life. All my life, every woman that I know that had a man that supposedly supposed to cheated on them, they took him back numerous of times. But when it's the other way around, I don't know but a couple men in my life that has took a woman back that has cheated on him. So that's telling me is something about the makeup between men and women. Women is more what you say, I'm gonna say this. Women is more compassionate, and on the negative side, they more gullible. And men is more hard minded, and on the negative side, lack understanding. I hope I'm explaining this right. So it's something about a woman that she could take a man back after he did her wrong a lot of times. It's just something about a woman that could do that because all my life, from my experience, this is what I have seen. And then you hear women say a man can't take what he dish out, which is the truth. Well, I'm gonna say which is facts. These is facts. A man cannot take what he does to a woman if a woman does that to him. Men ain't strong like women in that area. The man is going to succumb to his feelings and emotions and into ulterior things way more quicker than a woman. For some reason. For some reason, the man cheats and the woman want to beat up the woman that he cheated with more than she want to punish the man that cheated on her. Let's keep it real. This is from experience in my life. This is what I have seen from my experience in my life. So women and men, y'all different. Women and men, they equal as human beings, but they different in their makeup. I'm gonna say it again. They equal as human beings, but they different in their makeup. They respond to things different. Like you ever notice how you rarely see women wanting to shoot and kill people. Like when I was coming up, right? And most of the women that I knew in my high school, most of the women I knew in my life, when they going against another woman, the most thing they want to do is cut them or fight them. And then on the other hand, the man, he want to kill a person when they disrespect them. A man, he want to take it to he want to get rid of the person. But on the other hand, from experiences in my life, women don't move that way. Like when another female cross a woman, you like sometimes you get exceptions where women do go to the extreme limits, but most of the time, from my experience in my life, A woman just want to beat the other woman up, or she a cutter, mace her, all that type of stuff. But then, from my experience in my life, when a man is disrespected or his feelings and emotions hurt, he want to kill. Like he really wanna get rid of the person. I'm just saying, these are from experiences in my life, y'all. So it's something about a woman that makes her strong and more forgiving than a man. It's something about a man that makes him more hard hearted and unforgiving. But nowadays, what you have is we have a lot of women that's so fed up with men that they almost think and take on the the vindictiveness of a man, or the hardness of a man. Yeah, yeah. And when we don't understand the makeup, the makeup differences between a man and a woman, man, the biology, how a man is made, how a woman is made, what's inside of a man, what's inside of a woman. Even though we all human beings, the woman is made different than the man. For one, a woman gives birth, a man doesn't. Like, we have to understand these differences within a man and a woman. And not understanding these differences doesn't mean that if a woman is doing the same job as a man, she don't deserve to get paid the same as a man. No, if she's doing the same job as a man, she should get paid as a man. Now, the differences come in the contact is that when you don't understand the makeup of a male and the makeup of a female, like throughout our whole life, we notice that, right? For a woman to go to war is like a phenomenon. It ain't too many times in our life that we have seen women warriors, right? The man goes to war way more in our life. Like, my experiences, what I done read in history books, it always be the men that go to war. And then you have some exceptions when it was women. But majority of the time it's the man. And this is why I keep saying we have to understand these differences in our makeup. Because when we fail to understand these differences in our makeup, then we could trigger, like, for instance, if if like, I was watching this one show one time, right? And I heard a woman say that her man kept asking her, was she cheating on him or whatever, right? And the woman said that she got so tired of him steady asking her that she just blatantly came out and told him, yeah, yeah, I'm fucking him, yeah, I'm cheating him, yeah, I'm fucking and sucking him. And she said her man that loves her, that has all these feelings and emotions for her, he snapped on her before he came back to, and stopped himself for going any further. But in that moment, that man pictured his the woman he loves fucking and sucking somebody else, the lights went right out. The lights went right out. You could go see a psychologist and they're gonna explain that to you. They're gonna explain what happened in that moment, what happened, why that man lashed out at that woman violently, but then after a couple seconds, he caught himself and was like, nah, I can't do it. But in that moment, say if that man would have had a gun on him, say if that man would have had a knife in his hand, them little seconds of that moment right there is a man suffering from mental health in that moment. It ain't a psychologist on this earth that's a real psychologist that's going to tell you that that's not facts. That's not facts. That in that little bit of that little bit of moment when she said, "Yeah, I'm fucking and sucking somebody else," and then the way she's saying it, that man that loves her, that put a lot of life into her, in them little bit of seconds or whatever you want to call it, that little bit of moment, he blacks out and he goes to grab her by her neck and starts choking her. And then after a few seconds go by, he realizes what he's doing and he stops. But she still calls the police and shows them the mark around her neck. And the man goes to jail for domestic violence. Man ain't got no history of domestic violence, ain't never put his hands on a woman in his life. But that one moment right there, because a woman never did what this woman just did to this man. So what I'm saying right now is that I'm not condoning men beating on women. But I'm also not condoning women weaponizing the love and affection that a man has for them. Can't nobody listen. My mama always told me this, man. My mama told me this, and she a woman. My mama told me, can't nobody get up under your skin like the woman you love. Can't nobody, she said to me, she said, listen, can't nobody trigger you. Can't nobody make you lose your mind like the woman that you in love with. If you in love with a woman, then she can control your mind. And any man that listening to this was my mama right? Because we never look at these situations and we never look at these situations on both hands. All we look at is the situation where a man put his hands on a woman. And next thing you know, this man is labeled as a woman beater. When his mental health was compromised for moments by this woman. And the thing about it is, if she a grown woman, she know 9 times out of 10, she knows that she could make him do what she want him to do. Now, now we extend that to not only is this woman a woman that you might be in love with or love, she the mother of your kids. She the mother of your kids, man. So now it's a little bit more feelings and emotions in there. Now it's more like it's even feelings like when a woman like when a woman has a man's child, even if the man and the woman ain't together, it's still feelings and emotions between them. I know from experience. Yes, yes. And we can talk about feelings and emotions till we blue in the face because really to tell you everybody the facts is that feelings and emotions, people not understanding that they can control their feelings and emotions is the number one, or people losing control of their feelings and emotions is the number one cause of all the problems in the world. It's the number one cause of all the problems in the world. Like where I'm from, right? And I always try to make women understand it because, like, everybody like in our black communities or whatever, right? It's a lot of it's in the ghetto, a lot of murders and robberies and all that be going on. People commit crimes or against the people they're around. That's number one. That's something that we need to understand, right? Another thing is too is that a lot of women, a lot of people in the street that's on the outside looking in the street, and they see a 15-year-old boy shoot I'm gonna say a 13-year-old boy. Now out in the street, these boys is gangbangers. We look at the age when it's in the newspaper or when it's coming on the news, but they gangbangers and they're in rival gangs. And it's a lot of ego and feelings and emotions involved in gangs. And I hear women like, well, why don't they just fight it out? Because if you fight it out, what y'all ain't understanding, I'm not justifying that, but I'm saying it's something y'all missing. If I just fight it out with you, then you're gonna keep doing the same thing that's irritating me. Because you ain't gonna stop because nobody is scared of a fist fight. If we just like for instance, if we just gonna fight every time we see each other, then you gonna keep doing the thing that I thought was disrespectful that you did in the first place, and I'm gonna keep thinking it's disrespectful. So man, you just gonna fight. But on the other hand, a person kills somebody, then he know that that person ain't never coming back again to do what he wanted to get at him for in the first place. And even though we understand the matrix of why it is that way, that don't negate the situations that's at hand. It's a lot of, like I keep trying to tell you, it's a lot of ego, feelings, and emotions involved in these situations. And until we deal with the war that's going on inside of ourselves, each individual, let me break the word individual down. Everybody look at the word individual as one person, right? But break the word down. It's indivisible, dual. So they saying that one person is comprised of a indivisible duality. It's telling you that a person is made up of two two situations. A negative and a positive charge makes up an individual. And that negative charge and that positive charge is always fighting. always trying to get supremacy over that individual's mind. So when you think about yourself as an individual, even though you one person, you're made up of a higher self and a lower self. And the lower self is always trying to knock the higher self off so it could be rule that person's mind, man. So it's always a war going on within each and one of us. And we in our failure to address that. See, in ancient African times, right? When a person was born, right? And they seen they did his astrology chart and when he was born, and they did all these things to know about who this person is, what personality is. The person got named because of when he was born, what the sun, moon, and stars was doing when he was born. A person's name, a person's the way the person's occupation came up. They nurtured the person into being who he was before he even came to the earth. Yeah. This is ancient African spiritual systems, brother and sisters. Because you know how you say your sign is this. You know how you say your sign is like you hear people say, what's this sign? And what's this sign? That really means something. Your astrology chart means something. It tells you about who you really is. Right? Because it's something about in African spirituality, they teach you that before you even came, before the spirit even entered the body in the womb of the mother, it was already made up on what type of personality, what's your purpose. All that was already indwelled in that spirit before it even came inside of the body of the mother, the baby that's inside of the mother. And our African ancestors knew a way how to tell what these answers to these questions was, so they raised you in that way. Now we just guessing. Now we just guessing, man. So we have to understand that we have to fight the war that's going on within ourselves before we can fight any type of war outside of ourselves. Because if we don't fight the war that's going on within ourselves first, then we could build a movement, but the movement always could get deterred from temptation, from people coming to bribe us to break our movement up, from people pitting us against each other, from people throwing money at us and we falling victim to it. You have to have a certain type of mental disposition. You have to have a certain type of spiritual connection in order for you to fight these type of things, man. It's almost like a spiritual warfare. It's almost like a mental warfare, man. I don't know. I wasn't there. What happened with Tank Davis, but I know from experience that it was feelings and emotions and ego involved. You know, the same thing with Coach Prime. You understand me? Like people tell us things, but we don't listen. And then we don't listen, we don't look at these things as being significant. Like one of the most significant things Coach Prime said was, nobody heard him, was that he said that the AD from Colorado didn't play fair because he kept texting him and sending him pictures of the facilities that was better than Jackson State facilities, right? And we weren't even listening to that. And basically what happened was he succumbed to temptation. He succumbed to glitter. And we know everything that glitter ain't gold. But we know that he succumbed to what it was supposed to look like, instead of him building with his own people from up and becoming a legacy that could be unquestioned in the world. But we didn't look at that when he said that. A lot of us do the same thing. A lot of us fall victim to temptation, whereas somebody throws some money at us, whereas somebody say that we can live a better life. And what we want to do is we want to turn our back on everything in our past and go that way. So since a lot of us understood that part, a lot of us agreed with what Deion did, because of our lack of principles and integrity. Because we ain't fighting a war that's going on within ourselves. And what happened in that situation when he was sending them things to Deion, he was appealing to Deion's lower self, man. He was appealing to his lower self. He was sending them gold. He was sending them things that looked good. But the higher spiritual situation was in Jackson State. But what happened? He got tempted by his Lord. The man played on his lower self and got him to throw away what he had going on here. The people that mostly needed him to go somewhere where these people don't need you. They water ain't bad. Like you said, they crime ain't up. And this is what we need to understand. When you can't win a war and that's the whole thing. And that's the whole thing. One thing I have a problem with Western religions, man. Because it seems as though every time something bad happened to you, they make you look outside of yourself. And every time something good happened to you, they make you look outside of yourself. Ain't that something? Nobody wants you to go inward and fight that war, which is the real war of heaven and hell that's going on between your higher self and your lower self. So those of us that understand spirituality, not religion, spirituality, the science of spirituality, we understood that when we heard Deion say that he thought he was slick because he kept sending me pictures, we knew that he was appealing to Deion Sanders' lower self, man. We knew that's what he was doing. We knew that's what he was doing. And all these people out here claim to be God conscious and be good religious people, and they go to church every Sunday. Man, there's a whole lot more to the spirituality thing than it is that meets the eye, man. We understood that. Like we seen right through it. And we knew that it was a test. We knew that it was a war going on. That the Lord self won that war between Jackson State and Colorado and Coach Prime. And then if you want to get to the Lord self and the animal spirit, then the devil won that war, man. Satan won that war. To say it in the language of the late people of the day, Satan won that war. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's real. We got to start fighting the war that's going on within each and one of us, man. And when we fight that war, then we could come out on the other side and fight the war that's going on outside of us. Because guess what? You can't when I know what a war going on within myself and fighting, I know when I'm at battle. I know when somebody come to me and they tell me to go against my people for some money. I know that war we at battle. I know it's a war going on within me. So I know I got to win this war. But if we fail, like I said, 85% of the world does not know that they don't have to follow their feelings and emotions. When 85% of the world don't know that, it's a war that's going on inside of every individual. Every indivisible duality. What indivisible mean? Mean it's two things, it's a duality that can't be divided. Meaning in order for you to have life, you have to have a negative charge and a positive charge. And these two things, even though they got two different minds of their own, they can't be divided, man. So they make up one individual. But you can't let the Lord self win the wars. And when you start fighting this battle, you're going to lose a lot of wars. But the battle ain't going to be won. The battle's still going to rage on, man. Every decision you make, it's a battle there, man. That's why in old African spiritual systems, they always talk about the crossroads. When you come to these crossroads, which way you going to go? You going to follow your lower self or you going to follow your higher self? But all this is about what's going on inside of the individual, man. That's what they mean by having knowledge of self. Knowledge of self means that you understand the self. You understand yourself. You understand your weaknesses. You understand your vices. You understand where you're strong at. You understand your purpose in life. And you also understand that the war is within you. That's what knowledge of self is, man. And we as a people have to fight the war that's going on in every one of us before we come together and fight this war that's going on outside of us, y'all. We're going to keep losing and keep losing as long as we keep trying to fight the enemy on the enemy terms. And one thing we don't understand is this. As long as it's a stalemate, then the person that's in power when the stalemate happens remains in power during the stalemate. And as long as we keep fighting the enemy on the enemy terms, that's all we gonna keep creating is a stalemate and a lot of wars lost. Let's just keep it real, man. Let's just keep it real. And in my advice, I just want to give some advice to the brother Tank Davis, man. Like, listen, man, you got your two little girls. I know you love them to death, brother. I know how you came up. But one thing you got to do is you got to separate yourself from women, man. You got to make women sign NDAs and all that. You got to make women sign NDAs and all that, Tank. You can't be dealing with these women without backing yourself up these days, man. Because like I said, man, then you gotta quit falling in love with these women, Tank. Right now, you young, you ain't trying to get married. Quit falling in love with these women, man. Just do what you gotta do and keep it moving, man. Yo, like, subscribe. Y'all know what it is.